Hi, I'm Jim Ward of the Middle Country Public Library, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 51 in our History Bites series. Today, we will discuss the amazing life of Madam C.J. Walker, who was the first black woman millionaire in America and made her fortune thanks to her homemade line of hair products for black women. Sarah Breedlove, who later would come to be known as Madam C.J. Walker, was born on December 23, 1867, on the same Delta, Louisiana plantation where her parents Owen and Minerva Anderson Breedlove had been enslaved before the end of the Civil War. This child of sharecroppers transformed herself from an uneducated farm laborer and laundress into one of the 20th century's most successful self-made women entrepreneurs. At 14, she married Moses McWilliams to escape abuse from her cruel brother-in-law, Jesse Powell. Her only daughter, Lelia, later known as Alelia Walker, was born on June 6, 1885. When her husband died 2 days later, Walker and 2-year-old Alelia moved to St. Louis, where Walker balanced working as a laundress with night school. She sang in the choir of the St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church and became active in the National Association of Colored Women. It was in St. Louis she first met Charles J. Walker, the man who would become her second husband and inspire the name of her eventual empire. During the 1890s, Sarah began to suffer from a scalp ailment that caused her to lose most of her hair. She consulted her brothers for advice and also experimented with many homemade remedies and store-bought products, including those made by Annie Malone, another black woman entrepreneur. In 1905, Sarah moved to Denver as a sales agent for Malone, then married Charles Joseph Walker, a St. Louis newspaperman. After changing her name to Madam C.J. Walker, she founded her own business and began selling Madam Walker's wonderful hair grower, a scalp conditioning and healing formula, which she claimed had been revealed to her in a dream. Madam Walker, by the way, did not invent the straightening comb or chemical perms, though many people incorrectly believe that to be true. While other products for hair, largely manufactured by white businesses, were on the market, she differentiated hers by emphasizing its attention to the health of the women who would use it. She sold her homemade products directly to black women, using a personal approach that won her loyal customers. She went on to employ a fleet of saleswomen to sell the product, whom she called beauty culturalists. Walker sold products like Wonderful Hair Grower, Glossine, and vegetable shampoo that began to gain a loyal following, changing her fortunes. At first, her husband helped her with marketing, advertising, and mail orders, but as the business grew, they grew apart and the two divorced. In 1908, Walker opened a beauty school and factory in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, named after her daughter. In 1910, she moved her business headquarters to Indianapolis, a city with access to railroads for distribution and a large population of African American customers. She left the management of the Pittsburgh branch to Alelia. At the height of the production, the Madam C.J. Walker Company employed over 3,000 people, largely black women who sold Walker's products door to door. Walker herself moved to New York in 1916, leaving the day-to-day operations of the Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company in Indianapolis to her attorney, F.B. Ransom, and Alice Kelly, her factory forelady and a former schoolteacher. She continued to oversee the business and to work in the New York office. Once in Harlem, she quickly became involved in Harlem's social and political life, taking special interest in the NAACP's anti-lynching movement, to which she contributed $5,000. In July of 1917, when a white mob murdered more than 3 dozen blacks in East St. Louis, Illinois, Walker joined a group of Harlem leaders who visited the White House to present a petition advocating federal anti-lynching legislation. As her business continued to grow, Walker organized her agents into local and state clubs. Her Madam C.J. Walker Hair Culturalists Union of America convention in Philadelphia in 1917 must have been one of the first national meetings of businesswomen in the country. Walker used the gathering not only to reward her agents for their business success, but to encourage their political activism as well. "This is the greatest country under the sun," she told them. "But we must not let our love of country, our patriotic loyalty, cause us to abate one whit in our protest against wrong and injustice. We should protest until the American sense of justice is so aroused that such affairs as the East St. Louis riot be forever impossible." End quote. Madam Walker died at her country home in Irvington-on-Hudson on May 25, 1919, at the age of 51 of hypertension. Her plans for her Indianapolis headquarters, the Walker Building, were carried out after her death and completed in 1927. Today she is remembered as a pioneering black female entrepreneur who inspired many with her financial independence, business acumen, and philanthropy. Walker's reputation as an entrepreneur was matched only by her reputation for philanthropy. She established clubs for her employees, encouraging them to give back to their communities and rewarding them with bonuses when they did. At a time when jobs for black women were fairly limited, she promoted female talent, even stipulating in her company's charter that only a woman could serve as president. She donated generously to educational causes and black charities, funding scholarships for women at Tuskegee Institute, and donating to the NAACP, the Black YMCA, and dozens of other organizations that help make Black history. I'd like to thank you all for joining us for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, click like, and if you watched on YouTube, hit subscribe. Thanks so much, and we'll see you all next time.